This is one of my favourite topics to talk about ever. So, this week I want to talk to you about what would happen if you trusted yourself. So, you know that little feeling inside when there's a decision to be made and you go, right, I'm going to do this. And then that little voice creeps in your head that goes, are you though? I don't think that's a good idea. And the voice in your head suddenly has completely overpowered the decision you wanted to make in the first place. So, first of all, that voice that creeps into your head, it is just your alert system. It's telling you that something is not okay, that something isn't quite right. And that comes from a place where your brain just wants to keep you incredibly safe. Now, incredibly safe means never stepping out of your comfort zone, never doing anything that is outside of what is the most comfortable for you, never making a decision because decisions can change things, and changing anything for your unconscious mind or your inner child, as I always refer to them, is super dangerous for you. And it goes haywire. So, in the same way that a smoke alarm goes off and tells an entire building that it's on fire when somebody has burnt the toast in a block of flats, that's exactly what your alert system is doing. It is alerting you to, we are moving out of the status quo, and I don't like that. And it does it from a really kind perspective, like it genuinely just wants to keep you safe, but there is no growth and success in feeling super, super safe all the time. The other thing is that that voice that creeps in is quite often somebody else. It's your mum's voice or something you were taught when you were younger that you've taken to be true when you were young, but have never ever thought to question it. Ultimately, that voice in your head is fear. The doubt that comes out is about you being worried, you being afraid that something is going to go wrong, that you're not going to be safe, and that you're going to fail. So you treat it as the truth and then you act accordingly. Whereas actually, trusting yourself means that you can negotiate and have a conversation with your inner child in order for you to be able to do the things that you want to do. And just to give you some examples of how this might work, just to illustrate this. So let's say, for example, you decide that you want to lose some weight. You decide that as a result of wanting to lose weight, one of the things that you're going to do is get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and go to the gym. So that's out of the norm for you. You haven't been in a gym for a really long time, and you wake up when your alarm goes off at 5 o'clock, and your brain goes, just go back to sleep. Just go back to sleep. You don't need to get up. You don't need it. It's really warm and, well, actually, maybe we don't want it to be warm at the moment, but it's really comfy here. And if you get up early, you're going to be tired in the middle of the day. Your brain hates change. Your inner child hates change. Doesn't matter whether the change is a good thing or a bad thing. It's why people like me get anxious before they go on holiday, because it's a bit different. And have I remembered everything? And have I thought of everybody else? And what have you? So all of these things we just treat as completely true when actually it's just a small child going, I don't like this. So let's talk about failing. Most people I speak to are scared of failing, but failing is super, super important for learning and doing new things. But again, that little voice creeps in and says, you can't do this. So I remember a little while ago, I started a Zumba class, and for probably the first 2 lessons straight, my concentration was both on trying to copy the steps of the person at the front and also calm my inner child down, because she doesn't like it. She doesn't like getting it wrong. And I remember somebody in a course a little while ago said, if you went to a salsa class, would you expect to be able to dance the salsa at the end of it? No, you wouldn't. And my brain's going, actually, yeah, I would. I would absolutely expect that. So I would be disappointed by the fact that I wouldn't know how to do it. So the first 2 Zumba classes that I was doing were really challenging for me, because my inner child didn't like not knowing the steps, she didn't like getting it wrong, and all of these things. And it was just super interesting. But had I have just listened to her, I probably would never have gone again. So when we do something new for the first time, or when we get something wrong or whatever, we build resilience from that, as long as we don't beat ourselves over the head with it. But it is about falling down and getting back up again. Have you ever watched a young child learning to walk? You know, they're really wibbly on their little feet. They fall on their bottom lots of times. They get back up and they go again and again and again and again. And they don't think, I'm a bit crap at this, so I'm not going to bother trying to walk anymore. They just keep getting up and going on. And that is what resilience is. It's not the falling down or the not falling down. It's the choosing to get back up again and go again. And that's super, super important. So whenever we're learning something new, our inner child is going to kick off about it, no matter what it is, and it's going to be uncomfortable. And we have taught ourselves that that alert and that discomfort is a terrible thing, something to be frightened of. And that is one of the reasons that anxiety is so incredibly high in, particularly in adults at the moment. Actually, no, that's not strictly true. It is in children as well, but it's incredibly noticeable that it's going into adult life. And there are lots of people who are struggling with anxiety on a day-to-day basis, because we're taught that the discomfort is something to be feared and something that's not okay. I'm going through a massive life change at the moment, and I know that there are days where I'm super uncomfortable. Do I like it? No. Do I understand it's there for a reason? Yes. Do I let it be? Yes. Do I try and work through it? To a certain extent, but sometimes I will just let the anxiety just sit, because I'm teaching myself that it doesn't have to be the end of the world. So with decisions, any decision you have ever made has been with what you think is going to be the best outcome with the information you've got at the time that you've made the decision. For the most part, if you make a decision and it goes wrong, it's because you learned something after you'd made the decision that would have changed your choice. So Brexit voting is the thing that's come into my mind at the moment. So lots of people got information about whether to vote for Brexit or not, and then voted, and now there are studies out that say that lots of people regret that because they feel that they didn't have the right information. Whilst that's quite extreme, it is an example of where you think you're making a decision with the best outcome, and actually you then change your mind about it later because of other information that you've got. But when you make a decision, own it. Own that you think that that was going to come with the best outcome. And if it didn't, learn from it. And basically, whenever you make a decision that doesn't go to plan, take the learning, extract it, and the rest of it is rubbish. The rest of it is trash. The rest of it can go in the bin. There is no point keeping it, because the only reason you might want to keep it is to beat yourself around the head with it. And that is not healthy or helpful at all. So when it comes to trusting yourself, wouldn't it be nice to start to cut out some of that noise, to be able to say to that fear or that alert system inside you, it's okay, we're going to go do this. We're going to do this. And I've had a couple of examples this week that have come up with clients. One client who basically said, my boss trusts me completely. She thinks I've got great intuition. The problem that I've got is the bit between the making the decision and all the fear, worry, and catastrophizing that comes after it, that maybe it's the wrong thing to do. And then my other client, her mum decided that she was going to tell her some home truths recently, and really criticised her for the decisions that she'd made in her life and how many of those were really bad decisions. Why would that be helpful? So if you are the kind of person who struggles with trusting yourself, with making decisions, with the paralysis and the worry and the fear that goes with that, then it's definitely worth clicking on the link in the show notes and come to the masterclass and join us so that we can go through some of the things that I can help people to do, and you'll have some great takeaways. And the best of all, it's free. Look forward to seeing you there. Take care, and I'll see you again soon.